Welcome to the channel. This is Holden from Classroom Camp. You know, Florida is one of those states that is always making headlines concerning education news. There's always some kind of controversy going down, something happening, teachers getting fired left and right. And here today we have another instance of a teacher that made some questionable decisions and is facing backlash and could potentially have their license revoked. This is coming from Tallahassee.com, Tallahassee Democrat, and the headline I'm looking at reads, Florida teacher faces license revocation over Dictator award to conservative student. This was published on August 21st, 2025. Let's see what the article says. Florida's top K-12 education official said he filed a complaint against a Gainesville teacher to get her teaching certificate revoked a day after an area parent accused the woman of nominating a student, most likely to become a dictator. Education Commissioner Anastasios Stacy Komotsas, I don't know how you pronounce it, posted the document on social media August 21st. He's moving against a history teacher of Gainesville High School. The parent, Crystal Merle, attended a state board of education meeting earlier in the week where she held up an award with her son's name, the nomination, and a title reading Miss Watts Class Superlatives 2023. He was targeted for his conservative values, added Merle, coordinator of the University of Florida's online Spanish program. All right, so let me just kind of summarize what all this article states. So apparently there's this one student in this teacher's class at this particular school that students were accusing of being a Hitler sympathizer and teasing, saying things about this student. That's all that I gathered from the article, at least. And it eventually ended to where, for some reason, this class was giving out awards to students, and the teacher gave an award to a particular student that was most likely to become a dictator. The student was called to the front of the class to accept this award, and the student refused to accept it. Ended up going home, telling their parents, and the mother, I believe, went to the school board, lodged a complaint. This got around to the education commissioner in Florida, who posted a statement online about this, saying that they were moving and doing everything in their power to get this teacher's license revoked. Here on X, you can see the specific statement made by Anastasios Komotsas, which says a teacher chose to designate a student as the most likely to become a dictator. A parent brought this issue to my attention. I immediately took action to investigate the issue. I found probable cause and will take every necessary action to ensure this teacher never teaches again. All right. So that's pretty severe in my opinion. So this guy is moving to have this teacher's license revoked and does not want them to teach ever again in Florida. Now, I have a few thoughts on this whole situation that I kind of want to talk about. You know, first of all, I agree that this is an error in judgment. This teacher should not have done this, labeling a student most likely to become a dictator and pulling them up to the class regardless of whether or not they were being targeted for their beliefs. It's just not something that you should do at school, not something that I would do. But you also have to take into context that this is a history teacher in a history classroom. So I don't know the nature of the classroom, like whether this was meant to be a joke or something like that. You know, they're giving out awards. I'm curious as to what the other awards were, but I would say, like, yeah, you know, probably not the best thing to do. It was an error in judgment. Now, but what surprises me is that the consequences that this teacher is facing, because sure, this is a mistake that was made, but should this teacher's license be revoked? That, in my opinion, seems just a little extreme. And one of the reasons that I believe this is because if you remember, if you go back to some of the other news stories that I've covered, there was an incident in Florida that related to a teacher that refused to, or actually, here's the headline going way back. said that a Florida teacher called a student by their preferred name without parental permission. Her teaching contract was not renewed. And I talked about this story a while back, and in this case, a student wanted to be called a preferred name, and the teacher did so without asking the parents' permission or informing the parent of this, willingly went against the parents' wishes, and this teacher's contract was simply not renewed. But what stands out in that particular case is that this was actually against state law. By law in Florida, teachers are supposed to get permission from parents if they are going to use a preferred name. And no one went after this teacher to try to get her license removed or revoked. No one said anything to that extent. They just didn't renew her contract, and meanwhile had a ton of people that backed this particular teacher. And I believe recently, and I haven't stayed fully up to date on the news, but I believe that this teacher actually reached a settlement within the state. So I think that there was some relief for this teacher that lost their position. But my point here in saying all this is that that teacher went against the law in Florida, but did not have anyone coming after her teaching certification. But here in this story, we have the education commissioner trying to do everything that they can to remove this teacher's license for something that, again, in context, and I'm making things up here, but this is the article does say that it's a history teacher. It's in a history class, and it's possible that a student has made, a name for themselves, or I don't really know. We can speculate all day, but I'm just curious as to what actually went on in this class. And either way, even if this is a mistake, an error in judgment on the teacher's part, I don't think that this is a reason to revoke their certificate. Even if you, maybe not renew their contract, maybe. But going after their teaching certificate, you're at this point messing with someone's livelihood. There are vast repercussions for this. If you lose your teaching certification, you have to list that on any job applications. Even if you were to move to another state and try to become a teacher, you have to put that someone moved or tried to take away your license or did take away your license, and that does not look good for you. Like, you have to live with that for the rest of your career. And considering the state that we are in right now with the teacher shortage, and we're trying to get as many teachers in as possible, it's like, was this could have been a great teacher that made a poor decision and is now being taken out of the field of education and is having their career damaged by this. I think that it is a little bit extreme. That's my take on it. That's my opinion. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about this. And I'm curious, am I naive in this? Am I being too light on this in thinking that moving to take this certificate away is too extreme? I don't know. Maybe you live in Florida and you have more insight on this issue and why things are going down like this. But whatever the case, let me know down in the comment section. Always let me know your opinions, because hey, I'm not right about everything, even though I would like to be. But hey, tell me if I'm wrong. But anyways, thank you for watching. Remember to hit all the buttons, like, subscribe, share this video, leave your comments. That's all I have for you in this one. See you next time.